Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good to see you here. Welcome to our 166th meeting. How do you like that? DPI SIG May, 166th meeting. Before we move on to our meeting schedule, I just wanted to mention, and I'm sure most of you are not aware, Richard Tyndall is in the hospital. And did he get home today? He was hoping to get home, I think, on Saturday, this coming Saturday. He got home earlier. So he just got out of the hospital. I don't know why he was in the hospital, but he was. And let's all wish him the best and hope that he gets well soon, whatever it is that he's afflicted with. So, moving right along, how about our volunteers stand up? We couldn't do it without you, that's for sure. There's no way. And what about our visitors? Stand up. Do we have any visitors tonight? Hey, okay, we've got some visitors. We have a drawing at the end of the meeting each month. And tonight is a special night. Sonny's going to give away his Mercedes-Benz tonight. Oh, you're not? Oh, I thought okay, he's not. No, I guess he's not. But if you join, if you visitors should join during the break, it's a little expensive. It's $30 a year. So you might want to go ahead and sign up and join, and then you'll get a ticket for the drawing, and hopefully, and it happens quite often, actually, that some of the new members that just joined that evening will win one of the door prizes. I think tonight we have 10 door prizes. So I was going to tell you we had 11, but we only have 10. Somebody pulled the Mercedes out of the drawing. Quick story, something that I was thinking about today. When I was a teenager, I was kind of a pretty tough kid for my parents to handle. And my parents had 3 boys, and all of us were not so easy to handle. We were from the inner city, and we were kind of rough cut. But my dad said to me when I was 16 and I had blown the engine in the convertible for the 3rd time, he said, "Son, I want you to know, it's time for you to know that you were adopted." And I said, I knew it. I knew I was adopted. I want to meet my biological parents. And he said, "We are your biological parents. Pack up. The new ones will pick you up in 20 minutes. So, all right. Do we have any reports from the committees? Ah, we do. Okay, great.
I'm still working on the last pickleball people. Is Tom Benson here? No. Arnold Pulver? No. Curtis Cooper? No. James Mayo? Is that you? Cool. Finally got rid of one. And then, is this your shirt? Somebody bought a shirt. It's been in my garage. And I'm glad that now I'm only down to 3 envelopes. As it is right now, I'm actually surprised. We have actually sold around $300 worth of pickleball pictures from this year. And there was one this morning, so yeah, we put them on SmugMug. And people are actually buying them. I wasn't sure we were going to get any buyers because everybody had their phone cameras. You know, like 10 people taking pictures behind us, which was just making me crazy. But we actually sold 300, and we've sold 50 today. So we'll find out more next month and how that goes. Thank you.
You know, talking about, thank you. I'll be right there. Talking about selling pictures, last week, I got a picture in the mail of myself running a red light, and it was a $250 charge. I sent it back. The resolution was poor. I wasn't going to buy that picture. So, all right, next.
Thanks to everyone who came out for the outing at Marsh Trail. There were 5 of us, I think. And the eagles grace us with their presence, and a green heron with their 3 chicks. So this Saturday is another photo opportunity. It's not really an outing. It's the Great Canoe Race at the dock at Creighton Cove. So that starts at 8:30 and goes till 3. And it's Sonny's recommendation is you get there early because you got to figure out where you're going to stand on one of the piers, you know, and you're there pretty much all day. But it is a good time and great photo opportunities.
Great, thank you. It's a lot of fun, I know. It's really cool. Some of those canoes sink too, don't they? All right, who else? Any other announcements? Really? Oh, okay, wonderful. Oh, all right. Oh, okay.
Okay, so as you know, our camera club has a nonprofit status now, thanks to Sonny's efforts. And that means that we really want to kind of beef up our services to the public. For instance, right now, Priscilla does a great job of coordinating the photographing of events for nonprofit agencies, which is a service to the public that DPI SIG performs. We also provide free showings of our work. I consider that a service to the public. And now we have planned presentations in the county library system. Almost every month, we're going to have a 1-hour presentation to the public on various topics. We've already got this year almost all scheduled. Topics such as basic information on the use of your camera, using the iPhone, and some of you who are doing that are sitting here. Creative photography, to kind of the basics of landscape photography, and also matching mats and frames and picking them out for your images. And these are going to be presented at a very basic level to just inform people who are interested out there in the community. And also, of course, they'll hear about our club, and that would be nice too, because maybe we'll have even more joiners. And Sonny is also working on some other settings.
Thank you, Christine. I noticed when Priscilla, Lost and found the t-shirt at Neighbor about 3 weeks ago. I was giving a presentation to 400 people, and I had lost my wallet with $500 in it, so I made an announcement that I lost my wallet with $500 in it, and I said I would pay a $100 finder's fee. And there was a voice from the back of the crowd that said, "I'll pay $200. Who's next?
I've still got some GoPro style camera accessories. If anybody bought one of those little Chinese GoPro clones from me last year, I have dog harness. You can mount the camera on your dog, scuba mask harness, a little stabilizer, a bunch of stuff like that. Stick the camera on a window, suction cup it to your fender. B-roll stuff, you know, they're neat. They're good for scuba diving down to about 100 feet. And if you want to go to if you want to take it scuba diving, I also have a bunch of desiccant tabs that you put inside the camera case so that you won't get condensation on the lenses. So I've got a lot of that stuff in these 2 boxes over here. See me at the break or after the show, and I'll fix you up with any of it that you need. Prices are real cheap right now.
All right, who's next? No, I wasn't.
Okay, any takers for Chili's tonight after the meeting? Let's see, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 10.
Tell them a dozen, somebody else will join, I'm sure. Some of those folks that are here visiting tonight that have become new members, maybe you can join. Do we have any more announcements? Oh, Sonny, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. You do have an announcement tonight about the speakers, right?
This is just kind of a preview. We're working on the speakers that we normally have. We're lining these people up. June 16th, we're going to have Craig Dyrek, who's going to have a presentation on underwater photography. October the 13th, we're going to have Raymond Guman who's his presentation is gonna be on national geo landscape photography. And we've got another one for a Wednesday evening. That'll be Wednesday evening, November the 28th. It's Lance Cameron, and it's gonna be on night photography. We'll probably line up 2 more. We try and have about 6 of these a year. And of course, they're free to the membership. So we'll keep you informed as soon as we add more to it.
Thanks, Sonny. Anybody else? Oh, we do have more. Oh, okay, all right. I was sitting in a model home last week, and it got kind of boring, you know, it's summertime, no traffic. So I was watching one of these silly TV shows, and a man had stole a car. And the judge said to him, "Why did you steal the car?" He said, "I had to get to work. I didn't have my car, and so I stole the car. I had to get to work." And the judge said, "Why didn't you take a bus?" He said, "I don't have a driver's license for a bus."
And I don't tell jokes. I have a book here I'm going to put over on the free table, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is it's not so much a book about photography as it is a book about a photographer. There's this woman, Lindsay Adario. This is her biography. I read it. I got it at I was in an airport, and I had to have something, so I got it. But it's about her life, and she was a war photographer and she's gotten Pulitzer prizes, and you know, noted photographer. So I'm going to put it over there, free to a good home. And I enjoyed it. It was nicely written. So. But I just wanted to say it's not so much about photography.
Not yet, not yet.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I have a buyer for the book. Okay, who's next? I don't see anybody. Oh, I guess there is Joe. I saw you. Priscilla wants to clarify something. That wasn't lost and found, and there was no $100.
Just for the record, last year Sonny looked into it and found out that the pickleball people weren't a not-for-profit. So we're not doing it as a function of the not-for-profit. We're just doing it because we want to be involved. So that's why if we make any money, it gets split up amongst all the photographers that volunteered.
Oh, that's a good deal. I hope they don't do what I did and send the picture back. Joe, you're next, huh? Okay.
No jokes on the way back?
I've got a few in mind, but
I'm glad you did. That would be a tough act to follow. You're hot tonight.
yeah.
I'm Joe Fitzpatrick with Understand Photography. Even though summer's approaching, we still have a pretty busy schedule with Understand Photography. I'll be leading off my series of 3 Lightroom Classic CC courses on the 24th of this month. On our website, you'll find all our workshops for next year, our 4-day and 5-day workshops to Everglades. We're going to St. Augustine this year. We're going back to the Forgotten Coast. They all sold out last year, so if you're interested in them, sign up early this year so we don't have to listen to you cry and whine because you missed it.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody? Well, I want to make an announcement. I'm sure none of you are aware that I've got a new girlfriend. Would you believe it? A guy like me, but I do. But she didn't come tonight. I'll tell you what happened. I was lying down watching one of the sports games on TV, and I looked over at her and I said, "Sue, would you like to go for a walk?" And she said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And I said, "Well, you know, when you get back, would you bring beer and cigarettes?" And no, she didn't come tonight. I don't really know why. So, I was reading in the paper about how desperately bad cigarettes and alcohol for you. So I made a determination that I made a resolution. I'm not going to read anything anymore. Okay, what's next? Oh, that one kind of fell flat, huh? Okay. No, it didn't? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Any announcements? We do have. Okay. All right. Okay, Bert Saunders is here tonight from Collier Commission. Oh, the Collier Commissioner. Bert Saunders is here tonight, Florida State Representative. Hey, welcome. Why don't you stand up and say hi? You got any jokes you could tell us tonight?
I've got an adoption joke I can tell you. I'm Bert Saunders. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here tonight. Thanks for coming. Okay, what's next? What's next? Oh, all right. You got to laugh at this one. I was at the bakery the other day, and I said to the shop assistant, "I'll have that thing there." I pointed on the counter, and she said, "Cupcake?" And I said, "Okay, cupcake. I'll have that thing there." She wanted me to call her cupcake. Okay, all right, we'll stop. Something? We got some more announcements. Here we go.
Yeah, this is for anybody that has the program Procure Plus. I've been trying to get a hold of the company because we've had a couple members that had some difficulty trying to get the download to work correctly. I'm still trying to get a communication back. It's something other than an auto-reply email. Currently, they are, and this is really, really curious, they are saying they are not selling the program any longer, but you can download it for a 30-day trial. Okay, that's really screwy. 30-day trial, and what happens? It's become a pumpkin or what? So I'm trying to find out. I did find that I have a developer. I looked it up. There are only 10 employees in the company, by the way, and they're in Germany. So I have responded to one of the developers who first told me about Procure Plus to see if I can get any information about the product going forward. I will say this, I've used it more lately, and the program is fantastic. So if somebody does download it and they have success in getting the code to work, please let me know. Yes.
So I've downloaded it too, and I've used up the 30-day trial period. So now I cannot use it anymore because my activation key is not valid anymore. So, and I've also tried
That
to
was one of
contact
the
the
questions
company.
about the 30-day trial. If you've already done it, they say, well, here at the bottom of the page is a code, and you put the code in, and it doesn't work. Now, because I paid for the program, as some of us had, mine is still working. I have no problem doing it because I didn't have a trial that I had to go back to. I know there are a set of instructions, but in any event, I'm still trying to get information so I can give you an update.
So if someone maybe has another trial key,
Well, that's,
share.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to work toward. The biggest thing for me is I want them to do something other than send me an auto reply. So that's why I'm trying to get hold of one of the developers, and we'll see what happens. So hopefully by the next meeting, if something comes up before then, I'll let everybody know. Thank you.
All right, is that it? Anybody else? I don't see any hands going up, so I guess we're there, huh? Okay. I'd like to announce that Nancy Springer won Best of Show with her image Egret Angle in the PSA Individual Creative Competition. Congratulations, Nancy. Mary Short had two photos of an interaction between a gopher tortoise and a burrowing owl used in the national publication Herpetological Review. I got that right. Nature Notes. The image Close of the Day by Hilda Champion was published in the May issue of Landscape Photography magazine, and she sold a 30 by 45 acrylic of the same image to a buyer in Naples, and this is a joke, for $85,000. That's a joke. It's not, the joke is about selling the image. She did do the image Close of the Day. An image, Riding the Wave by Jennifer Brinkman, has been published in the April 2018 issue of the Gulf Shore Business Sourcebook, and it will be available soon. That book will be out soon, so that's great. And I think the last one here, Harold Kurtzman has an image that has been accepted in Camera USA for 2018, and the show opens the first week of June, so very shortly now. Okay, now we'll move on to one of our famous photographers, somebody that's going to be giving a presentation tonight, the formidable, magnificent Peggy Farron. Welcome, Peggy.
Funny. So, but Marcella's on a roll, isn't he? Holy moly. Okay, so if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Peggy Farron, that's me. I have been a professional photographer here in this area for, I don't know, 18 years, I think, maybe 19, I can't remember because I'm getting old. And I'm still a professional photographer, but I did start teaching in 2009. So I started Understand Photography Training Center, which I know you guys all know Joe because he comes every month. He's really good. I'm always busy. Something's always coming up. If I can make money, I go and make money. But our motto at Understand Photography is we simplify the technical. So it's really done well for us. We have a lot of, you guys have all taken our classes and things like that. We do trips and things like that too. And we have a show. It's live on Fridays. It's called the Understand Photography Show. And the reason I started it was because of Sonny. Sonny always has a way of creating work for other people. Have you noticed that? And he didn't even create this. I did it myself. But he started having this lecture series with all these big famous photographers. And I'm thinking, well, what can I do with that? I have to figure out a way to, you know, take advantage of that. So I started, well, I should say we started, because Joe does most of the work. I just show up and talk. But the Understand Photography Show, so we are on episode, I think, 87 is tomorrow. So we've been doing it for quite a while. And it's live on Facebook at 4 o'clock on the Understand Photography Facebook page. And then we put it on YouTube, and it's also a podcast. We have a much broader audience who listen, which I was surprised by that, but we have 500 or something people listen a week where we only have 200 or 300 people watch it. So, but it's really good. We get some great speakers and guests. Tomorrow my guest is Joe Fitzpatrick. We're going to talk about HDR photography. So if you don't know what that is or you want to learn more about it, remember our motto is we simplify the technical. We have a book out called Florida Photo Spots, Naples and Collier County. It's on, I did the print on demand, so you can get a hardcover book or you can get the ebook on Amazon, okay? Our next book is going to be Fort Myers, Sanibel, and Lee County. And I learned from this book, towards the, I self-imposed a deadline, and I was missing like 5 different locations. I didn't have any pictures. I had pictures, I just couldn't find them, right? So I just put it out there and asked other people for pictures. So all these people gave these beautiful pictures, and then I thought, well, the new books from now on, I'm not going to do so much work. I'm going to get the pictures from all of you guys. So if you have any nice pictures of anything in Lee County that would be a good photo spot, send them over, naplesportraits@gmail.com. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about event photography. I have a weird story about event photography because I am a very highly trained photographer. So I started as a wedding photographer and then got into portraits. And I honestly, this is going to sound so snobby, but I thought event photography was beneath me. I just thought, you know, it's easy, it's nothing. But in 2009, when I went broke, I decided event photography was not beneath me anymore. And so my first gig was at the Naples Art Association. I did 9 events there that year. And what I learned is it's really a good way to make connections. So I'm a big proponent of event photography now, and so I've learned a lot. I've been doing it now for, I don't know how many years is that, 9 years, and there are 4 of us in my company now who do events. We just have a lot of business. So what is it? It's personal parties, charity galas, fundraisers, sports events like pickleball, right? If you have a camera, chances are you're already photographing events, birthday parties, things like that. If you want to get really good at photography, do a lot of events because you get thrown into situations that you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? And if they're paying you, you have major meltdowns. Well, it's why you don't know how to do something. So I really do think it's the best way to get your name out, because I had been a full-time photographer doing very well for many years, and then, but I never was like into the real high society of Naples. But it took maybe 6 months of doing events when then all of a sudden I was doing all the family portraits for the Port Royal crowd and that kind of stuff. It didn't take long at all. If you're a nature photographer, in fact, Dennis Goodman did this. He was doing events at the Conservancy at Rookery Bay when he started off, because he got the connections, they liked him. He was getting paid too, by the way. But event photography is not a high-paying job. But he got the connections, and now you can buy his pictures at the Conservancy gift store and at the Naples Botanical Garden gift store. And a lot of that was just because he met the people, they liked him, he worked with them from doing events. Okay, so the two most important things you need to know as an event photographer is you need to know composition and you need to know your flash. And if you're gonna, this is the main, take a cell phone picture of this slide, because this is the main thing that you have to learn. One of the things that, I have all these different people working for me, and some people I'll try out, and then I don't bring them back because it's usually a compositional thing. And I'm gonna show you some of the things here. First thing I always do is have a consultation, get as much detail about the event as you can ahead of time. Let them know, no surprises from the photographer. And you have to say those words, and guess what? They're not going to remember, and you're going to have surprises anyway. But this is from maybe, 6 weeks ago. So this is a regular customer. I do their events for many, many years, right? So I said, this is their big deal was coming up on April 21st. So this is me. What are we going to do for the big group shot? Maybe if I'm on a tall ladder, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, we need 2 sets of shots. First shot is a group shot, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And then on top deck from behind, witnessing the marriage on the front of the boat. And I'm like, what? Wedding? You didn't just surprise me with a wedding. You know what I mean? So it was a surprise wedding. They didn't tell anybody. This was just, I don't know, when was it? Does it say the date on there? It was just a few weeks ago. But they got married on the Naples Princess. So I was their wedding photographer. And thank God he's put that little marriage in there because, she wanted wedding pictures. So I had to have a consultation with her as well. But with him, I convinced him to hire another photographer as well, because that group shot was important to him. So I had my other photographer across, over by Riverwalk to take the group shot while I was on the boat. Actually, I'm in this picture. Where am I? There I am. But that's why the consultation is so important, because people throw stuff at you all the time. Almost all of my horror stories are because of something I didn't know, that they didn't tell me. So you have to be very aggressive about finding out what's going to go on, or you're going to have surprises and they're not always good. If there is a step and repeat area, you will almost certainly need an assistant for taking names, okay? So if they're going to be using the pictures for any publication, they're going to want names of the people. But if you're in this situation where people are lining up and getting their picture, you don't have time to take those pictures. So if you have a good consultation, you can cover that and say, hey, you need to give me an assistant to take the names, or pay for an assistant to take the names. That's what I just said, right? Yeah, okay. If you do have a step and repeat, make sure you get there early, because sometimes they'll put them like this garbage can was right here, and I couldn't move it. It was so heavy. It took 2 guys to move it to there. And it's still kind of, I cropped this in, I just wanted to show you guys, but they had the garbage can, was going to be in every single shot. Because people don't fit on these little step and repeats like they think they're gonna, you know what I mean? Especially if they're like wearing big ball gowns, they want the whole outfit. You gotta make sure that everything around it is good too. Begin with the end in mind, right? That's one of the 7 habits of, what's the name of that book? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? What are the pictures going to be used for? Are they used for publicity, for the newspaper, for magazines, or just for social media, for an annual report? If it's for something like an annual report, you're going to want to take some time to do some more formal images, not just what we call grip and grin. Are they for the website? Are they for gifts? You know, a lot of people will have a party and give gifts, you know, send a picture or something like that to their guests. Ask the host what they're going to do with the pictures. If they're going to give them as gifts, ask for the orientation, portrait, or landscape. So, you guys know who he is? I didn't know who he was. But, Big Poppy, if you don't know. But people paid $400 a ticket to get a picture with him. And they didn't even give me anywhere near that much money. But, you know, they all had to be the same because they had the folders ready. And so those are the questions you have to ask, you know. This one, horizontal shots, because she had these fancy frames made out. Okay, so what do you need to do? What do you need to bring? It depends on the type of event, but for most events, this is what I bring, 2 cameras. You may use both or just have one for backup. You always have to have backup, especially if it's a paid job. If it's a paid job, if you ever have a paid job, you have to have a second of everything. A wide lens and a long lens. Zoom is best for events, for versatilities. My main 2 lenses are the 24-70 on my full frame and the 70-300 on my crop frame. And 2 speed lights. Not all, but for most events, you're gonna need flash. And by the way, I just had a conversation with a friend of mine. Actually, I've got pictures of him in here. He's an event photographer in town, and you know, he's my age and we're getting older and the equipment just keeps getting heavier as we get older, you know? And he's like, I'm thinking about getting a super zoom, and I'm like, don't do it, because I have the Canon L series lens, the 24-105, which is a better range for event photography, but it doesn't focus in the dark very quickly. And in event photography, it's dark a lot of the time, so I use those heavy, expensive lenses because they focus quickly. So that was my setup. I've got some new stuff from now, but pretty much that's the same setup. 2 flashes. And by the way, flashes, I have strong opinions about flash. If you don't have a speed light and you're going to buy one, it's my opinion you should buy the strongest flash that you can get. Because the whole point of buying an additional flash is because you want more light. So if you buy, like Canon has a 430 and a 600 now. The 430 is only, I think, a stop and a half or 2 stops less. But still, for me, it's not enough flash. So I would rather buy an old 550 or 580 EX2 because it's a stronger flash. Does that make sense? Even though it's used. But one thing I learned about flashes, they can be fixed. One time I was doing an event and my flash just tipped over and the wires popped out. And so I asked Isaac from Southern Photo Technical Service, and he goes, I can fix that. He fixed it. It was $100. It was worth it. Could have been one of those. Okay, flash bracket to keep your flash above the camera and avoid red eye and side shadows, because if you're using a flash, you never want to turn your camera sideways with the flash that way, because then you're going to get that ugly shadow down the side of the people. And it just makes you look like an amateur, you know? Flash diffuser to soften the light. I prefer the Gary Fong Cloudy Light Sphere, and now I actually brought one, but I can't move it just yet, because it's got the clock there and you guys don't want me to talk too long. But they have a knockoff. Maybe his patent wore out or something, I don't know, but you can get the knockoff for, I think it's, how much? 25. I think it's less than that. I think it's like 15. Did you? So I really like that, and I'm going to talk more about that later. Lots of batteries, lots of memory cards, gaffer's tape. I just keep gaffer's tape in my bag, because you never know when you're going to need it. And if you don't know what that is, it's like black duct tape, except for it doesn't leave a sticky residue. So if you need to tape something down, you're not going to ruin the wall or whatever. Notepad and 2 pens if you need to take names, bring your business cards. And just remember, event photography often leads to other work. So you have to think about that while you're working. You know, if you're there if you're there, do a good job. I mean, it kills me when I see, well, I'm going to talk about it. It was so funny because I did this presentation at another camera club over on the East Coast a couple years ago, and I have a friend who is an event photographer over there. And so he's making fun, oh, I was there, because I can't stand when they pick at the food when they're working. It's just so unprofessional, you know? It's like, eat before you go. You know? So he's teasing me, yeah, I was out picking the food at the Breakers Hotel, you know? So this is, I just have a cheap bracket. It was $27 when I bought it, like in 1998, I think. It's like $10 now. You need the sync cord if you're going to use a bracket, batteries. This is my Gary Fawn, gaffer's tape. What do you wear? Well, you want to fit in. This is another thing that I feel very strongly about because a lot of events that I work, the Naples News will send somebody, a reporter or a photographer, and they'll have jeans with their holes in them, and it's like a black tie event. And I feel like that's disrespectful, you know? If you're there at a black tie event, you should look nice. You don't have to have that same attire, but you should look nice. I wear black mostly, blah, 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 nice black dress. I usually try to wear long sleeves because it's freezing everywhere. Casual events, that's where I struggle because I don't have a lot of casual clothes. Decent shoes, people do notice your shoes. That's my friend Charlie, the one who's not going to buy the Super Zoom. I'm not anymore, but I was, well, they don't have them anymore, but ehow.com, I was one of their photography experts. And so they had like some kind of algorithm where they figured out the topics, and then they'd give me these topics, and I had to come up with a 3-minute video. So one of them was, what does a cameraman wear? So I said, Charlie, I need you. But that's what he wears. He's actually he's got the biggest event photography company in this area. He's big time. This is what I wear. You can see I'm way more sophisticated. One of my assistants. But just black, simple, you know, you just kind of blend in. Behave professionally. Do not draw attention to yourself unless you need to in order to get the picture. Now, I can be very bossy. I think when you're a photographer, you have to be very bossy, but you have to be nice too. But most of the time, you should be in the background. Don't jump up on the stage, alter a dance floor when a show is going on and you're not part of the show. That's one of my peeves when I did a lot of weddings, when the photographers would jump on the dance floor with the bride and groom. It's like, get a long lens for crying out loud. Why do they need to be right on top of them? It's so obnoxious. In fact, at a very important wedding to me, the photographer stood in front of me the entire ceremony, and I was the mother. She stood in front of me the entire ceremony. I couldn't believe it. I should have said that. Don't tell my son I said that. You know him, right? Because he doesn't know, and I'm not going to tell him. So don't stand in front of people. If you do, grab your shot and then move. You know, I mean, sometimes you have to get the shot, you have to jump in, get the picture, but then get out of the way. It's not about you. You've got to be respectful to the people behind you. If you're at a political event, no one should ever know your views. You know, if you're a Republican working in for a Democrat, nobody should know you're a Republican. They should never know. That's not part of your job to talk about it. Don't chew gum, pick at the food, or other unprofessional behavior. Yeah, gum. I am anti-gum too. I got a lot of hang-ups, don't I? So which pictures to take? You want an overall feel to the event, so usually we'll do an outside shot of the building, wide shot of the entire room, vignettes of the details, small details, and then if there are sponsors, they really like to show their sponsors that they had their signs and things like that. So this was just a housewarming party. I told you I got in with a good crowd, right? So one of the things, it's hard to come up with creative things when you're doing event photography, but you know, I try to come up like that. Was getting the starburst effect, and look what it did to me. I've never done that since, or still. Probably Joe can tell you why it happened. I don't know why, but it's cool. And then, you know, I use my long lens to compress all the tables so they look like they're in tight together. Small details. She had the little pashminas for the ladies to sit outside, and the menu is very important. So which pictures do you take when you're there? People smiling at the camera. That's mostly what people like. So recently I got hired to do another housewarming party, just like that one pretty much. And she said, oh, I just want candids. And I said, you know what, I'm not the right photographer for you, because most candids look like this. You know, most people don't look good when they're in candids. It takes like 10 shots to get one good candid. And then you're obnoxious because you're taking picture after picture and they see you. It's a small room. So she finally decided to go my way, and then she was so happy because I just posed, you know, just let me get, not pose, but just, you know, let me get your picture, smile at the camera. When you do candids, avoid backs. That's something that I'm constantly training my subcontractors and new people. You know, it's hard to get candids. So you need, you know, if you're gonna do a lot of candids, bring a real long lens so you can zoom in on somebody's face, because you're gonna have somebody's back there. And the back of people is not that attractive. Of course, you're gonna get activities. Pictures that tell the story. An art opening should have pictures of people enjoying the art. Sunday brunch has pictures of the food and the chefs. Always make sure you know who the host, you know, get pictures of the host, celebrity guests, things like that. So I'll ask the people, who are the important people? That's the main thing I want to know when I get there. So this is what we call grip and grin pictures, just people smiling at the camera. That's mostly what people like. I did stage this because it's hard to get this as a candid shot. People like looking at art and in a good position, so I told them what to do and they were all about it. They were so cute. This was not staged though. This was a Vanderbilt Country Club had a grand reopening, and so they had their brunch and just kind of got some grab shots there. Sponsors in the pictures, Stars in the Arts. Has a big award ceremony every year, so make sure that you get their logo, things like that. Joe did this one. This was the grand opening of JetBlue Park, so you see how he's got this in the picture, and then these two big famous, Mayor of Boston and who?
County Commissioner, Lee County Commissioner.
Oh, and the Lee County Commissioner. Okay, and remember I said, does anybody remember what the two important things were? Flash and composition. And so this is such a great example of great composition, because he's got them with room in front of the way they're looking. Their eyes are close to the rule of thirds. And then of course he's got the sponsor sign in there. Vary between horizontal and vertical to give the client choices, but only if you have a flash bracket or light sphere. Never put your flash on the side or you're going to have a horrible shadow. That just really doesn't look good. So this is one of my regular jobs, and I always give them variety, horizontal and vertical. Try to be creative. This is not that creative, but I was struggling. I was trying to think of something creative to do there. I just compressed it so they looked like they were real close and got the clapping in. But usually when you're doing event photography, you do have time to do creative things. It's just difficult to come up with them. So I'm always trying to think of something, shooting through things. Joe did this one. I never would have thought of that. I thought that was a cool picture. Ask the host clients. At time the client will have a shot list. If the shot list is too long or complicated, ask which pictures are more important, and also ask for a helper to find all these people. When I first started working for the Naples Art Association, the PR lady would give me a 5-page shot list. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know who, and I was new, I didn't know, now I know who people are maybe, but I didn't know who they were. And so anyway, I'm like, can you shorten this and just tell me a few of them? And it was so funny because I hadn't worked with her in a long time, and I worked with her this year at Rookery Bay, and same thing, she had like a 5-page shot list. I was like, you gotta narrow it down, I can't do, because you would spend all your time just looking for the people, you know? Ask what will be happening, no surprises from the photographer. You may have all this information from your consultation, but you need to ask again when you get there because things change, right? Ask if there are any restrictions. Is it okay to use flash for the entire time? Because sometimes, in churches, like for weddings, we can't use flash inside usually the churches let you use flash for the procession and the recession, but not during the ceremony. So different things, you might not be able to use flash. If you can't, make sure you bring a monopod to help you get steady shots. and then ask, can I go up on the balcony ladder back room, and will I need a press pass? So I can't remember when I was working. I wasn't working for them, but this was part of something I was doing. And I was shooting through a window, so you couldn't use flash even if, through the window. So I did bring a monopod, and then I went down on the floor, and I was just saying, do overall shot, but close-ups make more impact. Gripping grins are what we call the pictures of people smiling at the camera. These are my settings 90% of the time, okay? I'm at ISO 1600 or ISO 3200, depending on which camera I'm using, because one of them is fine at 3200, the other one I can't go above 1600 or I get too much noise. I'm at f4, and I'm at a 60th of a second, maybe a 100th of a second. Now that I'm getting older, I'm going to a 100th of a second more often because I'm not as steady as I used to be. But my camera's gonna meter on 0, okay? And if you guys have ever taken my class, I'm like, camera meter on 0. Well, except for when I tell you not to. So the camera's gonna meter on 0 because it's dark in those places most of the time. So your flash is gonna compensate. So I leave my flash in TTL, which is like automatic, and I use that Gary Fong diffuser most of the time. If I'm doing a table shot or a group shot, I change my aperture to f8. Why do I change it to f8? Does anybody know? Because I need everybody sharp, right? If I'm at f4, I might not get everybody sharp. So at f8 I will. But then I change it back to f4 because it's dark and I need as much light coming into that camera as I can get. Okay, most of the time I'm using flash on TTL with a cloudy light sphere diffuser pointed right at the people. I may even turn my flash up. So you might need to learn your exposure compensation on your flash. Most of the time I don't though. It's very simple. I mean, I hardly change my settings at all when I'm working events. How to pose people. Simple and quick posing only. This is not a formal portrait session. Get them close to each other. This is one of the biggest things. In fact, it was the same PR lady. She helped, the first time I ever did, it wasn't this presentation, but it was a similar presentation. She helped me with it. And she said one of her pet peeves when she works with photographers is they won't put the people together. So you got to get them together somehow. And I'm like, oh, he won't bite you, will he? You know, try to make a joke. Maybe not as funny as Marcel's jokes, but. Angle in, arms out a bit. I'll show you that picture, what I'm talking about. If, and only if, the client seems open and friendly, I'll tell them how to get rid of their double chin. You don't want to go, hey, you want me to get rid of that double chin because they might get insulted. But if they go like this, when I'm taking their picture, I know that they're sensitive about their double chin. So if they seem like I can approach them, I will. I may do other small posing tweaks at a time. So this, see her arm? When a woman puts her arm straight, it looks fatter. So if they just bring their arm out just a teeny bit, it thins out their arm, okay? This is an instance where she didn't know these people, so I pushed her in. So that's what Robin said her pet peeve was. She doesn't like the gap. This lady was all about, in fact, after I taught her how to get rid of her double chin, she went around to everybody else at the party and taught them. And if you don't know, they have to be looking straight at the camera. They cannot turn their head sideways. They have to look straight at the camera, put their chin down, and stick it out. Because the camera's two-dimensional, you can't tell that they're sticking their chin out like this unless they're sideways. So there's the double chin thing. But be careful with that. You don't want to insult anybody. People really appreciate when you notice crooked necklace, hair out of place, men's jacket riding up, and other small details. They want to look good, you know? Lower the wine glasses or put them down. Or if, you know, one of my regular jobs is I'm so sorry because I cannot do a French accent, but it's called the chaîne des rôtisseurs. See, she can do it. But they want the wine glasses in the pictures because that's a wine, you know, it's a dinner club. So they're all about fancy wine and fancy food. But it's so funny because I have them all trained. As soon as they see me coming, they start hiding their cocktail napkins because the cocktail napkins look like trash. And if you think about composition, our eyes are attracted to white and to bright things. So if they have a white cocktail napkin, your eye goes right to that and it looks like trash. And it's some fancy party, you know, that they paid a lot of money to be there. Look out for, check your overhead lighting. If it's just awful, try to move your subjects. That was one of the first things I learned when I was working at the Naples Art Association, because they've got the lights on the pictures. And for some reason, everybody wants to back up against the wall. Well, then they've got that horrible lighting on them. I'm like, you know, please move forward out of that scary light. Again, you can move your subjects if you have an ugly background or distractions in the background. Don't let them back up to the wall if you can help it. And also check the foreground. Move things or crop out distractions later. Okay, so my regular customers, sometimes they don't hire me soon enough and I'm booked up. So I'll send a subcontractor, and they do not like that. They want, you know, I've been doing that job for all these years, so I sent a subcontractor to this one job. There was one picture where there was white flowers on the table and she was shooting something in the far away, and so the white flowers, she should have cropped them out or darkened them or something, but she didn't. And he was like, he nitpicked that one picture, you know? All her other pictures were fine. But the Naples Beach Hotel, I was so excited when they renovated those older rooms, and I was like, oh, it's so nice and bright in here. Oh my gosh. There are lights everywhere. There is no escaping those overhead lights now. So you can see the dark circles? They're not too bad because I'm blasting them with flash. So the flash really helps, especially if you've got that nice Gary Fong diffuser on it. In this case, there was just people milling around, so I just moved. Everybody wanted a picture with Norman Love, so I just moved him so that I wouldn't have so many distractions in the background. I was actually working for Florida Weekly. This was the hired photographer who stood up in front of everybody for the whole time. I couldn't believe it. That's why I took a picture of him. I couldn't believe it. I mean, and it was $250 to be there, and he's standing in front of everybody. But I cropped him out. Quick group posing. Stagger the heads. If more than 5 people, try to use chairs. Because I hate that when you have like a lineup of 10 people. It looks so weird, but sometimes you have no choice. The back row needs to stand close to the chairs. And I'm going to show you pictures. Front row. Ladies, cross your ankles. Put the hands one over the other on one leg. Men angle slightly, hands resting on the legs. No crotch shots. What do men do? They go like this. All men do that. If they're 2 years old or 90 years old, that's how they sit. It's like, no. Shoot at mid-level for proper proportions. So if you're taking a picture of somebody, like say they're standing up, your camera should be in the middle. Now, you're probably this way, so your focus point is going to be up at the top. But your camera should be in the middle so that the proportion is correct. So if your camera's up here and you're shooting down at somebody, they're going to have a big head and little feet. Does that make sense? So you need to crouch down a little bit so you're right in the middle. So this is another one of my regular jobs. And these short skirts these girls come in are just kill me, man. You can't believe how short these girls' skirts were in the back. Anyway, and then how are you going to pose them, you know? So cross the ankles, hands. With the boys, this guy didn't pay attention to me because I wanted his knees this way, but that's the pose. I've been doing this job for a long time. Try to be back as far as you can and zoom in to compress the background to have people in the proper perspective. Don't use too wide of a lens, 24 millimeter on a full frame, 17 on a crop frame at the widest. Try to get people in a straight line so that no one in the front is looking huge. Okay, so this I just took at one of my classes for an example, just to show you. I was too close and the front row looks big and the back row looks small, and you can even see the converging lines. And this is me just backing up. See how small they look in the back? And then they all look the same size. So all I did was back up and zoom in, okay? This one of I couldn't do this is my same job, and I sent a subcontractor, and he was too close to these people. Look how small these guys look. So this is my picture where you back up far enough, zoom in, so they all look the same. The other thing that he didn't notice, which kills me, see that right there? Oh my gosh, I cannot stand when they wear the hairbands on their wrist. Okay, so white balance. Some rooms have the worst color lighting ever. I use auto white balance most of the time, but I can use custom white balance, but more often I use Kelvin. Unfortunately, a lot of cameras don't have Kelvin, that option. The reason I like it is because it's faster. I can just dial in a Kelvin number and I don't have to do the extra work that custom white balance does. With custom white balance, you have to take a picture of something white and go into your menu and all that stuff. With Kelvin, you can just dial it in. How do I know what to put it on? I always start at 4600, and then I look at the back of the camera. And if it looks too blue, I change it. You know what I mean? It's simple. And the nice thing, if you're shooting in RAW, if it's a little bit off, you can fix it very easily in post. So this is the Kelvin option. Custom white balance, again, takes a little bit of time. Bare flash is generally a very harsh flash. Use a diffuser if you're inside. A big light source will give you a softer light than a smaller light source, so I really like that cloudy light sphere. And I like the cloudy one. They have clear ones. I like this one because you can shoot it up and still light comes through the side. And then I can also turn my camera vertically and it will shoot up and there won't be a harsh shadow on the side, so I don't always have to use my bracket. I am, should you use bounce flash? For overalls of the room details, yes. For people, very rarely. And I fight with my subcontractors on this. In fact, I'm going to show you one of them's pictures because I was like, can't you see that looks bad? So think about that. If you're bouncing your flash, it's coming from above, and then they're going to get the dark eye sockets. It's not flattering at all for people. Shadow beard, look at your pictures to check. Many ceilings are too high or they're not white. Never, ever, ever point your flash out if you're outside because there's nothing for it to bounce off of, okay? So this was my assistant's job. This was her bouncing. And look at, this girl's like 22 years old. She looks old because she's got all these harsh lines all over her. Again here, she was bouncing it and the ceiling was black. And she's like, well, I keep reading on the internet, they say never, never use direct flash. I said, but you're not using direct flash if you have a diffuser on. That's not direct flash. So this was me, the same, this is with the Gary Fong, just pointing right at him. It's nice, it's pretty, gets rid of wrinkles, not that they have any. Table shots, try to get people to stand in the back. Whoever's closest will look the biggest, so it's better to get them up if you can, and that's how I get them up. Well, whoever's closest to the camera is going to look huge, and then they all run to the back. Shoot down at them a bit if you can, reduce the double chins, and try not to get the dirty dishes. Now you can see that this lady's a little bigger because she was closest to the camera, okay? And I already talked about candidates. Use a long lens, and always be sure to throw away any pictures where the people don't look good, including people in the background. If you got this great picture of people, but somebody important in the background is like, you gotta get rid of that picture or do something. You can't put it out. Capture great expressions. I'm going fast because I'm running out of time. Flash bracket. If you're using a long lens inside, you're going to need a flash bracket to reduce your chance of red eye. Red eye occurs when the flash is too close to the lens, which it is. If you have a long lens, the flash is going to be too close. So you're going to need that bracket. I use my Gary Fong on the shorter lens, but I use my bracket when I'm using the long lens. Inside, I don't use it outside because I don't have the problem outside. Know your flash. If you're shooting against windows or mirrors, that may whack out your flash metering and your images will be dark. Even if your camera's in spot metering, your flash is using matrix metering. So your flash is metering the whole scene. And this, actually I have a story about that when it was at Naples Art Association. They had the Princess Diana dresses and it was a big, big deal and they spent all this money and all this stuff. I went in there and I had 3 flashes with me for some reason. None of them worked. So by the time I tried the 3rd flash, I thought, well, I can't have 3 broken flashes, right? Well, what was happening was there were all these, the dresses and everything they were in glass cabinets with mirrors in the background. So the flashes just were metering crazy. So I had to put my flash in manual and use it in manual for the rest of the night, which, at this point, I'm pretty used to it, but at that time, I never shot with my flash in manual. So it was a really a learning curve on the job, which was pretty scary. Here's an example. I took a picture of him. The flash didn't go off, so I threw it in manual, and it was fine. I'm gonna skip through some of this. You're gonna have to take one of my classes. But I do want to talk about this. This was the same Vanderbilt Country Club when they had their grand reopening. They said, well, it opens at 6:30. You can come in, 6:15 or so. Well, I got there at 6, let's say. Well, one thing about older people is they're always early. So they weren't letting anybody in. And, so everybody's kind of milling around in this big hallway, and I took this picture, and next thing I knew, there's this big line. Everybody wanted their picture. So I'm thinking, I'm trying to find someplace that's a good background. This is the best I could do. But this thing right here was whacking out the white balance, and it was whacking out my flash. So I changed everything. I changed my Kelvin, the white balance to Kelvin. I changed my flash to manual. I already shoot with my camera in manual. And then I could get, I don't know, there were like probably 80 couples I took pictures of in that same spot because they weren't letting them in and they were all there. So they were all the same. They were all slightly blue, but in Lightroom, you fix the first one, you synchronize all the rest of them. It took me just a minute to fix them all so that they looked good. I'm gonna skip some of this stuff because this is more about managing people if you've got somebody famous that you need to take pictures of because people want to talk to them. So when I do this event every year, they always have somebody real famous, and I tell them, you have to provide me with 3 helpers. One to put them on the stage, one to pull them off the stage, and one to get their names, because I don't have time, I'm just taking the pictures. So, and I got myself in there too. If you shoot in RAW, you can fix your pictures later, right? And always back your pictures up as soon as you get home, no matter how tired you are, because you never know. What if one time I did this, I hate to admit it, but Charlie was working for me, we were doing this big event, and he handed me the card, and I set it down. So, thank God it was still there in the morning, because I freaked out. I couldn't believe and when I did it, I knew I was doing something bad. And then when you edit, very light editing. See the difference? I just darkened that flower, just fixed the white balance, just very, very light editing. They're not paying you enough money for real editing. If they want edited photos, they can order them, because I'll sell them to them. All right, so summary, know how to shoot in manual and use your flash. Learn posing and composition for best results. Those are the 2 most important things. The 3rd most important thing is to have a good consultation. But look at your back of your camera often. I mean, there's no reason now. We can see the back of our camera. We can see if something's coming out. Have backup equipment. Dress and behave professionally. Be very friendly. Begin with the end in mind. What will the host do with the pictures? And have fun and try to think of creative shots. Okay, short commercial, and I'm out. I'm out 5 minutes late. Sonny's gonna kill me. 4 Weeks of Proficiency is our signature class. Bert just got through it, right? Pretty good class. Great class, see? Well, we have it online as well, and it's live online, so I'm actually sitting there while you're taking the class. I'm sitting there answering your questions. So it's a live class. It's got homework, all that kind of stuff. That starts June 5th. Also, we have a mailing list. We send out a newsletter once a month, and it has photo tips and things like that, and of course our schedule. That comes out every month, so if you sign up, I just finished putting together this, 10 tips on how to get tack sharp images every time. I just finished it yesterday. So anybody who signs up for our mailing list, I'm gonna send that to you. And we have a clipboard over there where you can sign up for our mailing list. And that's it.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. interesting stuff. We're running a little long tonight, so just going to tell you that our break usually starts at 8, and usually it's 20 minutes. But tonight, our break, we will come back at 20 after, so we'll have to be back at 20 after, so that gives us a shorter break. So enjoy. Thank you, everybody, for taking your seats. And I'd like to ask everyone to take their seats tonight. Thank you. We're just about to get started, so thank you for taking your seats. Did that work? I tried it 6 times. It didn't work, so I had to do something. Oh, flash the lights. That's a darn good idea. Okay, cue me up when you get ready to go. We're back? Wonderful. Oh my goodness, you all quieted down. That's great. Okay. All right, Sonny mentioned to me, and I'll try to reiterate what he said, just hopefully I don't goof it up. But if you didn't get your print competition prints here tonight, you'll need to contact Sonny and make arrangements to bring them to his office. So we still want to make that available to you, so if you didn't make the deadline, which apparently I guess was supposed to be this evening, but you know, things happen, so you didn't make the deadline, that's okay. Just give Sonny a call and make arrangements to take your prints for the competition up to Sonny's office, and he'll take care of you there. Okay? So, now we have Mary Short. Welcome, Mary. Mary's going to present the awards for the first F3C annual digital competition.
All right, these are the final competition results from the F3C first digital competition. In the advanced color category, blue launching your nestlings at Cohen. And I did something new, and I just posted a ribbon in the corner of everyone's print, so I don't have to tell you what it is, you can see what it is. Bright Eyes, Susan Christensen. Delicate Step, Jim Robillard. Morning Lights in Maine, Bob Kennedy. I'll explain the structure of the ribbons at the end of the program so you know where the different colored ribbons came in. Tricolor Heron Portrait, Mara Lorenzo. Triangulated, Hill Champion. Waiting Our Turn, Jim Robillard. Perfect Pose, Jim Robillard. Sunset, Yaroslav Sopka. Colorful Cup, Gregory Presley. Fishing Perch, Maria Delar. Fortified Tunnel, Dottie Danforth. Galapagos Icon, Glenn Bielek. Scaling Big Daddy, Gregory Presley. Sky's the Limit, Evelyn Perez. Where's My Mommy? I'm Hungry, Ed Cohen. Yes, dear, Glenn Felix. Now that could go either way, you know. In the beginner class, Lake Lorraine Calm, James Keir. And Zabriskie Point, Jane is here as well. In the creative category, Into the Light, Evelyn Perez. The title is Good Evening, Christine Cook, but I want to say Good Evening.
That's
I got it. Good evening, Christine Cook. Parrot, Yaroslav Zoka. In the documentary category. Oh No, Ross Hubbard. Admiring Their Work, Eric Hansen. In the mono category. Pretty Plumes, Meryl Lorenzo. Glaciers Nationals, Art David. Up Close and Personal, Bob Kennedy. Whittling Master, Maria Delar. I think I spelled her name wrong. Enjoying a Smoke, Christine Cook. Golf Sunset, Bob Kennedy. The Fence, Edward Reese. Okay, this is explaining the new structure of the ribbons. The blue ribbons is the outstanding, the top 5% of the scores. The red is the next 5%. The white is the next 5%. The yellow, honorable mention, is for the next 10%. And people can earn blue ribbons to earn a special award. If they get 12 ribbons, they'll get a special award of excellence. So keep up the good work, everybody. Our next competition is coming up in July for the digital competition. So just keep in mind, check back at f3c.org often and get your dates down on your calendar. And there's my ending funny. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I was thinking, as she was doing all of that, about the themed slideshow tonight and the challenges that I had, thinking of what am I going to submit, what am I going to submit, and I do like to submit and have tried over the small number of years that I've been a member here. And some of the themes are a bit challenging, and I thought tonight's theme was challenging for me. But I must say that we should all try to enter the theme slideshow, and if we find those challenges, I think it's a broadening your horizons type of thing. I know Joe Fitzpatrick invited me to go out west to do some landscape photography of the farmers' fields and so forth a few years ago, and I don't shoot pictures like that, and so I went, and I enjoyed it very much, but it was a challenge. And I enjoyed that challenge and got some great shots. So when we come up with these different themes, like repeating patterns and designs, which is coming up for next month, find something out there and submit it. But anyway, we're looking forward to the theme slideshow. Oh, by the way, when I was out in Kilimanjaro, I got some repeating patterns of some zebras, of course, and things like that, but on the flight back. And you know, these days the airlines, what do they give you? A little package of crackers for $10 or maybe a glass of water for free, and that's about all you get. So the flight attendant asked me, she said, would you like dinner? And I said, what are my choices? She looked at me and she said, yes or no? Okay, we'll go with the theme slideshow. I'm always amazed at the photographs that are provided for the theme slideshows. They do some fantastic pictures, really amazing. I get intimidated. It's like, gee, I hope I can keep pace with everybody. Do we have some new members tonight? How many new members do we have this evening? Wow, we've got quite a list here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, looks like Bert Saunders joined tonight, huh, Bert? Thank you. Anthony Gargano. Is Anthony here? If you are, stand up. There you go. Is it Stacy Milan or Milan Stacy? Malin Stacy. That's like me, Marcel Samples. They call me Mark Samples, Mark Samples, Maurice Samples, and I never get it right, so I'm sorry about that. Kat Musamano? Is that right? Kat Musamano? Is Kat here? Did I say it right, or did I say it wrong? Musamano? I actually got it right. Wow. Thank you. Tish Fairbrother. Tish? And there's Tish. Stand up, Tish. We want to see you. Very bad. She's hiding back there. And Santuk Labana. Santuk Labana. Not here? They joined on the internet? Okay. All right, so there's 2, 4, 6, 7. And I don't, oh, John Taylor. Where's John? There's John. Thank you for joining us. And I think I got them all. So we're going to have a drawing, and unfortunately, it won't be for Sonny's Mercedes, but we do have some door prizes, though. All right, here's the first one. Are you ready? 8800366. Okay, got a winner. A total of 10 door prizes tonight, so hold on. 8800559. Hey! We got a winner back there. Our famous cameraman won. And the third ticket is, are you ready? 8800352. Hey! I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, it seemed like I couldn't miss. I would always win. I won like 6 different tripods, and it was a big joke. I was giving tripods away. The next one is 8800370. 8800370. Hey, Joe Fitzpatrick won. Okay. And following Joe is 8800479. 8800479. Hey, there we go. 2, 4, that's 5, so we're halfway home. All right, next one, 8800334. 8800334. Hey, there we go. 4 more to go. 4 more to go. Yeah. All right, and next, 8800349. 8800349. Hey! That's 7, so we've got 3 to go. You did get the right count, 10, right? Okay, all right. Next one is 8800-358. 8800-358, there we go. All right, and as I mentioned earlier, remember now, the theme of the month for June is repeating patterns and designs. So, all right, and the next one is 8800-484. 8800-484. Now, hey, we got a winner. Don't forget to wrap up the little string that you put around your neck for your little badge and stick it inside the plastic container so the ladies don't have to do that for you, please. Please remember to do that. All right. I think there should be, is there one more door prize up there? Can somebody take a peek and see? We want to make sure. There is? One more. All right, this is the last one. 8800-492. 492. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us.